That's what you got there.
One thing I want to say is, what I remember watching her in her latter years before she passed away, sort of deteriorate in her mind, and of course they give it a title, dementia, they call it, etc. That's the title. But you know, when I was sitting with her psychiatrist, I wanted to say she's hurting.
Right.
She's hurting, and she's hiding, and she's been practicing hiding for a long time. And you know, my mother did eventually, you know, go on to glory. However, nobody was safe. Nobody was well. I don't believe. Let's put it like this: I watched my brother get beatings because of out of anger, not out of crime. I watched my brother get beatings out of anger, not out of crime. And it's funny, the person that was committing these crimes wasn't doing the beating. It was the person that didn't want to identify that there was a crime going on that was doing the beating. And it was just a harsh reality. We as a culture, as a people, and I don't want to say culture as if we're the only people going through these experiences, have to be able to mature or maturate from and heal from, besides just saying, well, I survived it, we got to go back in. We got to go back in and be able to, one, as the side is doing, is creating a dialogue, but two, also having a solution, a particular form to change. And what I'm currently using in my life and what has healed me tremendously is understanding that my power doesn't come from myself, that all of these experiences can be used for the glory of God, can change another person's life. It doesn't have to remain that way in my life, because I could have just used it as an excuse not to mature, not to develop.
On the radio, like it was on the Michael Basin show very recently, they were talking about spanking kids. And some people say, well, I don't beat them. No, I do spank them sometimes. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm saying it right here on TV. It's the same thing. Spanking, beating, popping, whatever. I'm not with it. Because it's not so much the physical thing, it's the intention of you going to strike somebody or you going to pop somebody. And I need for you to focus on, like, what is the result of that? Popping my daughter. What is that? Some people say, I want her to fear me, or I want him to fear me. I don't need black kids fearing their parents. I'm supposed to trust, that our kids are supposed to trust us. And our kids are supposed to feel good about us and come to us. But if they don't trust us because we're the ones that hit them, they're scared. So I need that addressed. Somebody in the book, there's a young brother who had a piece in here, and a friend asked him, because he was for beating kids if they act up, and the friend asked him, so if I disagree with you right now, you going to just punch me? And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's like, right, so why would you beat a kid? Because they disagree with you, Yeah, it's the same thing, they're just little. And my thing, my daughter disagrees with me. All right, well, I just say, well, you ain't watching no Hannah today. Hannah ain't coming on today. Hannah ain't coming. What I said last night on the radio, I said, I think sometimes because we don't have power in a lot of places, we got to bring power home and have power over people we think we can have power over. And it hits the kids, so it's like, do it because I said do it. Don't do this, and whatever it is that we got to say to them and it makes us feel like we're in charge of something. And I'm like, what you in charge of? And I don't think we have to be in charge that way. We don't have to be in charge that way. And if we're going to create beings that can come into the world and really create things that we can be happy about, then they're not beat. They're just not. And on the radio last night, I was on It's All Love. It's a Blog Talk radio show. Love for the radio show. But anyway, I said to them, I want you to just take a minute, and I just need you to imagine yourself. You can either be the child or the parent, but I need you to imagine the facial expression and emotion of the child as you're about to strike. So you're about to go strike the child. I want you to just see the face of the child and think about the fact that this child, wincing and not wanting to get hit, they actually are not wanting to get hit by somebody they're supposed to love. This is a person that's supposed to love them, and they're going to strike them. So if the person who loves you is going to strike you, what in the world is your defenses when you go out in the street? Like, what do your introduction to violence is your mama or your family. That's a problem to me. So I do have a chapter called Who Got Skills, and it deals with...
Yeah, I was going to say skills.
Yeah, I got a chapter called Who Got Skills, and it's like, yo, if you're going to handle that situation without beating them, it does take some skill. And that's what the book helps you develop, some skills to handle situations.
Well, I pulled up a scripture. There's quite a few about discipline in the biblical text. One I just want to share is in Hebrews 12 and 11, and it says this in the King James Version, now not chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous, nevertheless. Afterward, it yields of the peaceable fruit of righteousness, unto which all are exercised thereby. Let me just say that.
Yeah, please, I need you to put that in there.
Well, I
Please,
put
in
it
my
in both
language.
texts.
Okay, thank you, because I ain't know what you talking about right now.
Of course. But I'm first
Okay,
thinking
good.
James.
I got you, I know.
But I'm
So
gonna
tell me
do
what that
it in the
means.
New International
Thank you,
Version,
Jesus, everybody.
because I have a feeling that.
Yeah, I'm like,
It
see me
says,
for everything.
Not discipline, excuse me, I apologize. No discipline seemed pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, now the key is discipline. It produces a harvest of righteousness, righteousness meaning right standing between the person you're communicating with, and peace for those who have been trained by it. Now, that's not to say, and please, you gotta understand the difference between a beating and discipline. There is a difference, because I was beat. Now, my mother didn't beat me because she was disciplining me. She didn't say, you're going in a total different, a wrong direction, and I need this discipline. And I was explaining Hebrews 12 and 11, and it says in the New International Version that no discipline seemed pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness, which is right standing between your communicator, and a peace for those who have been trained by it. Now, discipline in slavery obviously was abusive. And you gotta be able to not say, I can't tell you what not to say. I have to be able to not say that I am massacring my granddaughter when I'm setting up the stage of discipline, just because I choose to use a particular method. No way and no form am I going into any area of abusing her or mistreating her or mishandling her.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
I'm gonna handle yours too, and I'll handle yours too. Go ahead.
My question is, why does discipline have to include physical attack?
It doesn't.
It doesn't have to, it's not an attack.
Well, anytime you're putting your hand or an object on another person's body to cause pain, that is an attack.
Well,
Can there be discipline without the
She
physical
does.
attack?
It's a balance. I have a balance. I don't, every time she does something, it's not a strike. You bet, she doesn't fear me like that. No, I talk with her, communicate. I remember my son coming up the stairs because of not having knowledge. Knowledge becomes power. And I remember him coming upstairs. I said, don't be out past a certain time. Don't be out past a certain time. Don't be out past a certain time. Yeah. Don't be out past a certain time. Yeah. You know, on and on and on. And then I give him a little bit and a little more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then next thing you know, the next time he's way out past, the time he should, and he came upstairs, and as he came up the stairs, he walked right into my hand. Now, that was abuse. Even my conscience told me I shouldn't have smacked him like that. Even my, and I had to live with that for years, like I couldn't take that back. Mm-hmm. That's abuse. I abused my son because I had no internal understanding of how to handle a child that had not understood. You have to have boundaries.
I was on a radio show. The issue of discipline did come up. I smashed a dictionary into my hand and read the definition of discipline. It had about 7 definitions under discipline, and nowhere in any definition did it say anything of violence. Anywhere, nowhere. Wow. You could look up discipline, and there is nowhere where it says anything about physical action, nothing. Just look it up. Just look up discipline, period. This topic right here, if you're going to confront it, it takes courage. Writing this took courage. Being able to confront this takes a ton of courage. Right. It takes a ton of courage.
So we really just subjectively look at the situation. I think we will look at it differently, because even though we might have the intention of making this person better, it's really not. And if we did look at the definition, we might be able to think of a different way to discipline our kids. Yeah. But and I'm happy that you're open to finding out other methods, because there really are other methods.
I'm not very understanding of knowing that there are other methods. I am looking to always make change. Mm-hmm. Change is the only constant in life. You're not going to do anything if you're not willing to change. Right. So I'm willing and open to understanding about change. However, what I want to say is, people look at things, especially in the biblical text, and I have to just really kind of set the foundation for the biblical text.
I think one of the problems in the black community is religion. That's a big problem. Okay. We believe what other people have told us, which to me it doesn't work, because if it did work, we wouldn't be in the condition that we're in. There's almost a church on every corner, and it still hasn't done anything for our condition. So we got to be very, very careful and really start to analyze what we're being taught from those who have made us slaves.